Hey y'all, how you doing today? So in these types of games, whenever you're first starting out, it's usually preferable to start with a carry, and a carry being a character that you put all of your resources and time into versus spreading it amongst a lot of other characters, because being able to deal a certain damage threshold is just going to completely annihilate and bypass a lot of the story and a lot of the progression. And then once we have some more information, we'll work on a tier list, but for now, we're not quite there yet, so let's just go ahead and go through everybody and I'll tell you if I think they could carry or not. We're going to go through every single one of them, so I will try not to waste too much of your time. And the Holy Empire, I will go ahead and say Lydia, yes, is going to be able to carry. Not only does she have abilities that are able to ignore defense, which completely ignores the defensive multiplier in calculating damage, so she's going to be able to do damage to those high defensive units very easily and get a lot of good kills. Urian will be a decent carry because he has an area of effect ultimate ability that can take down large mobs, and he's able to shield himself and give himself a little bit of sustainability. I don't think William's going to be carry because this AoE defensive down and his buffs sort of make him more of a support. Thomas may be able to carry, but I don't really see too many very high multipliers in his kit, and his shining ability is a counterattack whenever your allies are attacked. If your carry is a very much higher level than everyone else on your team, they're probably going to die before him anyways, so he's not really going to take advantage of the counterattacks. Jacob is another one of those characters that kind of relies on other characters because whenever they launch an attack, he can launch a joint attack. So yeah, I do think he does have a kit to carry, but he's not going to be as good as other characters. Connor is a support. Charles is another unit that's a little bit too team reliant because his damage builds up whenever allies take damage. So if your allies are dead, then you're not going to be able to build up that damage. This one excites me. I definitely think Debuff can carry because whenever you get a crit, he gets another round. I think that's awesome. Celine as a carry is possible because she buffs her own attack with her first skill, so if you had a curse set on her, she could potentially attack buff herself, and she has an area of effect, so I could see it. Surprisingly enough, I am interested in seeing a Vidark carry because he has a pretty decent stat pool all around, but then his multiplier, 260% damage is a lot of damage for a multiplier, plus he grants himself defense up and dodge up, so he gives himself sustainability. Abbott's not going to carry, he's too much heals. And for these rares, we're going to skip these guys. I don't think anybody should be building rares and belows. Elites I could deal with, but the rares just aren't going to cut it for me. Blackhorn's a healer, he's not going to work. Goobag is definitely going to be able to carry, and this is a very unique character. First, take note of his S rank and speed stat, but whenever you build a certain amount of speed, he just grants himself bonus turns. He also buffs his own speed with his first attack, so trust me, being able to take a lot of turns like that and being able to deal all of this damage, this third skill has a pretty decent multiplier too. 300 whenever maxed, sheesh. Hector buffs himself in a lot of different ways that I would like to see how much damage he could actually do. I'm sure he can carry. Crazed Herzog is going to be just fine because of this ridiculous ability that does 4 strikes of 80% damage to all enemies, 4 strikes of 100% damage whenever it's maxed. Corrupt Auroch is also going to be a good carry. He's one of those health scaling units, so the tankier you build him, the more damage he does. Bruisers can also be carries. I'm just going to clarify that right now. A unit does not have to be a glass cannon in order to carry. As long as they're able to just progress you, that's a carry. Mognar could carry you, but I have a little bit of a problem with these RNG based units because, you know, everyone's just gets the worst luck whenever you're using them. Whenever he's on defense or you're fighting him, he gets the best luck, but it just doesn't work that way whenever you're using him. Bruiser isn't going to be able to carry because he has way too much defense and not enough damage. Like, you have to at least be able to deal some damage. I think Urzag could do it. The lower his health is, the more damage he does. If he had a way to recover his health with lifesteal, I think that would be much better. But in order to like deal that high amount of damage, he already has to be low health. It's kind of sketch. Auroch can do it. He has area of effects and he does a lot of damage. He's super good. Valeria is going to be fine as a carry, but again, she's one of those characters that deals damage to herself in order to do that area of effects, so it's kind of sketch. Dark and Niklaus could definitely carry. He has a super sustainability kit and he does decent damage. Evelyn First Dawn, obviously being one of the best characters in the game, doesn't mean she's a bad character if she's not a bad carry, but I wouldn't select her as a carry because that multiplier is just trash and that's really her only damaging ability. Everything else is just support. Vance would be a decent choice. He has decent base stats all around and you could probably work with his kit in combination with some of the sets in the game. Kyle's super weird character. You kind of have to rely on who you're fighting. I don't think I would choose him. Scarlet would be fine, but bleed characters are usually boss killers as opposed to like wave killers, because there's a difference between being able to do a huge area of effect attack and clear a wave, and then being able to do like 100,000 damage to a boss and kill him in 2 hits. But either way, both of them are considered carries, so I'll say yeah. Marion Shadowblood will be fine. She gives herself lifesteal. She's able to deal enough damage to keep herself alive as well. Now Marion is a little bit more difficult because she has a tricky kit. She's sort of high maintenance whenever it comes to using your abilities in the correct order. I'm not sure if I would pick her as a carry. Evelyn can absolutely carry. This first skill can launch a bonus attack, and if she's on a curse set, the first skill can launch a bonus attack, which can launch the curse set, which can launch the first skill, which can launch the bonus attack, and if you kill a unit, she moves on to the other unit. It's not like once you kill a unit, the rest of the attacks are wasted, so definitely can clear waves too. Freya is okay. I mean, she's a little bit on the supporty side. I don't really see her being a better pick than much other characters. Anna, again, she's like kind of a tank, doesn't really do much except for stun and debuff. I don't think I would choose her as a carry either. Abaddon would be an absolutely fine choice. He can cleanse himself and then continue the fight. Gangelo will be fine. He's another one of those team-reliant units, like the better team you have geared towards poison, the better he'll be. But I mean, he's not the worst choice. The thing about Desmond is he puts Plague on the enemy, which is like damage over time, and the longer that abilities take to deal damage is not a good thing because you want your carry to be fast. I think I would leave him on the bench. Helmar is the same thing with bleed and poison. Like if your team is built and geared for bleed, then great, but having an entire team dedicated towards complementing your kit kind of defeats the point of a carry. Andre is more of a stunning tank. I don't see it. Edicris will be absolutely fine. He'll just deal a lot of damage to enemies, including area of effect damage, and make himself invincible half the time, so I'm definitely not picking Raven. Her base stats are trash and she's poison based. Osgul maybe because he has an area of effect 50% damage multiplier on this one, and he actually does have an interesting kit. I could definitely see him as a carry. Mythesia is just a pure healer, skip it. Cyrus is a self-buffing nuke. I would send it. Go ahead with Cyrus is fine. Kane is another one of those bruiser units that I would go ahead and land in the yes column. Like he has a pretty interesting kit. He can deal a lot of damage if he gets good RNG, and he has a little bit of survivability with decent health base stats and stuff like that. I'd give him a shot. Santis is a poison-based unit, but the more poison that the enemy has on them, the more poison she can apply, so it requires setup. Maybe. Arendelle would be good. You don't have to build as much crit rate on him, and he ignores defense. Unicorn Chick is straight up one of the best attackers in the game. There's no question about her. Luna Melissa, I don't really think it's going to be a great pick because her multipliers aren't really that great. Regular Melissa is one of those characters that starts off really good with a self-buff, but then that self-buff falls off. So if you can finish a fight early enough, I'm sure she would work. Virgil is the area of effect god. Like, he's just one of the best ones. There's no questioning it. 2 area of effects, super good. Windstrex, no, she's a support. Celestial Kane, same thing with all the bruisers. He has a lot of survivability and a decent kit that does damage too. Fuck CC, a healer and completely team reliant. Not CC, a healer and also completely team reliant. Bad base stats. Now Malik though, let me tell you about this ignore defense, about a 200% multiplier ignore defense ability. I would honestly make him my main. He'll carry, he'll do it. Brand is self-buffing, but also he relies on teammates being attacked in order to get the full potential out of his kit. Don't think he's a great choice to carry. Rickard is going to be sick. He has a decent amount of survivability and area of effect high multipliers. Lordrek is sick. He also relies on teammates being like debuffed and stuff, but you know, I like his kit. I think he would be fine. Vengeful Hassel, like, okay, being honest, he looks super cool. Okay, I know this might piss people off, and he does technically have 100% multiplier area of effect ability, but look at these other multipliers, okay? 60% on a first skill, and then 60% on the second skill. And the passive isn't really that good. I don't think I would pick him. Now, regular Hassel, we're getting back into good territory. He has the Arena Shield. Every time he's attacked, he can like get a shield, possibly. He has a pretty good multiplier right here, and he has good multipliers all around. He's self-buffing as well. I could see that one. Now, Hakran doesn't really do too much damage, and he's just sort of like a super tank, so nah. Mara, yeah, self-shielding, area of effect abilities, she's decent. Tizago, absolutely not. His first skill is basically his only skill, and I mean, it's just stuns. You can't stun bosses. There's a lot of things you can't stun. Rajago is one of those supporty characters, so I think his kit could be more geared toward damage if you wanted to use him as a carry. I wouldn't. Mulago, I don't know, because he has a lot of defensive capabilities in his kit, and he can technically deal damage, but he doesn't have sustainability. He can't heal or anything like that. He can't shield. It's sort of hit or miss. Tia, easy carry, does a lot of damage, has area of effect, is able to apply frozen, super good. Yolanda is way too support heavy. She's not a carry, she's just a support. Imogen is fine. I mean, he's not too much of a better choice than anyone else. The thing that stands out the most about him is his attack base stat is super nice, but he also relies on teammates to get the full effectiveness out of his kit. And his kit is really confusing. I mean, it's not really. It gives him ignored defense for getting Moonlight. It only gives him a maximum of 20% ignored defense, which isn't really a lot, so I guess. Avera is fine. She has an area of effect that can also grant her a bonus turn, some pretty decent base stats too, so yeah. Holy Yolanda, again, she's a support, a god mode character, like super triple S tier, but not a carry. Hugh can carry, but he's going to be a little bit more difficult to build because his kit relies on him having a higher speed than the enemy, which can sometimes be difficult to build. Speed and crit rate and crit damage and attack and have survivability. So while he would be difficult to build, he could carry technically. Natalia is literally the epitome of the perfect area of effect carry. She has a high damage area of effect ability that if it kills the enemies, it refreshes its cooldown, so super good. I'm gonna be honest, I straight up do not like Harbeg at all. He doesn't have the stats to back up his ridiculous kit that just requires ramp up time of building rage over multiple turns just to get a decent multiplier on one of his abilities, and if you don't have enough rage, the multipliers are straight up trash. So his only shining grace is if you had max rage and you use this third ability, it would do a crap ton of damage, but it requires way too much setup in my opinion. Borden will be fine. He can grant himself bonus turns, and he also applies stealth to himself. He has an area of effect. Lightwing Zachary is pretty good. He can self-buff his attack. He has a chance to get another turn whenever he's attacked, and he can ignore defense. So all in all, not too bad. Elson is going to be a great candidate because she gives herself 30% crit rate, so that's 30% crit rate you don't have to incorporate into your build, and then whenever you land a crit, she can also get a bonus attack, so super nice. Zachary is absolutely fine. If he's able to land killing blows, he's able to land multiple killing blows in one turn. He just keeps hitting and hitting and hitting. Joseph, absolutely not. Only support is his only role. Dark Dragon Asrina is going to be an obvious yes. She has good area of effect abilities on more than one ability. Galbraith is going to be great. Not only does he have really good attacking stats, he has an area of effect, he has a decent kit with high multipliers, and whenever you kill him, he comes back to life. So Savannah is fine. She has a 300 multiplier ability, and she can greatly increase her own attack, but whenever she dies, she grants her attack to another ally, so a little bit relying on teammates, relying on her to be targeted to get the most out of her kit, but still all in all a decent member, and then if she does die, then you can transfer her carry abilities onto another character for the rest of the match. Molhex is okay, he has a pretty good kit, he has a lot of health stats and stuff like that, but the enemy has to attack like 6 times for him to grant a bonus turn, which is a lot of times, but all in all, pretty decent pick. Hydracia isn't even a question, everybody knows that she is the best area of effect attacker in the game. Asrina will be fine as a carry, especially with these abilities that cause Ignite, because Ignite as a damage over time ability does damage at the start of the turn versus at the end of the turn like Bleed, so it's possible that you could kill them with the Ignite before they even took their turn. Zatlux is super good, everyone knows that. Whenever he kills somebody, he gets another turn, has high multipliers, high base attack. And the Lizard Man Destroyer is the best character in the game! I'm just messing with you. That's going to do it for this one, so hopefully, if we're looking at tier lists or something like that, maybe we could build some of these characters instead of just relying on tier lists and building the same characters over and over. We could experiment with some of these guys and see if they're actually good like I predict or not. I don't know. But if you have any questions, feel free to join my Discord. We have a bunch of people in there. Just don't be sensitive because we like to have fun. But other than that, y'all, that's going to do it for me today, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.